So James has just been through this nice bit of streamy water above me on dry fly, had a couple of nice fish, and now I'm going to use a very, very popular technique. Many fly fishers of all standards use this technique, and it's a duo. I've got my own ideas about the duo. Some people believe it's just a method of fishing a nymph. You can use a piece of foam or something ridiculous that isn't actually capable of taking a fish as the dry fly. In my opinion, that's indicator fishing. Now, duo fishing is using a dry fly and a nymph simultaneously. Many people use a clink hammer as their choice of dry fly. I think this is a very, very poor choice for this method, because it starts with the body of the fly already in the water. Waterlogging becomes a problem, the fly starts to sink, and the fisherman gets frustrated. I actually use this pattern, which is from Doug Swisher in the United States. It's a very, very good fast water pattern. It's called a dancing caddis, and I've got a very simple rig. I tie it on a dropper. I'm not a fan of tying off the hook shank, because I take a high proportion of my fish on this dry fly. On some days in summer I'll take 60–70% of the fish on dry, and on other days I'll take the majority of the fish on nymph. This is the beauty of the duo, of course. It's a twixt between method. You're fishing both the dry fly and the nymph, and if you're fishing well, you're fishing both the dry fly and the nymph effectively. Now, there are some exponents of this method who say it's a close range method. That's true to a point. The closer you are to the dry fly, the more control you have over it, and the more quickly you can react. But today it's going to be very, very difficult for me to get too close to these fish. The water's very clear, it's low, the river's really on its bones. We haven't had enough rain. If I get close to these fish within 15–16 feet, they're going to go down, even in this fast riffly water ahead of me, because although it looks nice from back here, in fact it's quite shallow and fish will readily see me from even quite a short distance. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start right down here and work my way up this run. I'll probably end up 2 or 3 meters ahead of where I'm standing right now, but not much further, and thoroughly fish the nymph through all the little creases, little bays where a fish might hang up, and just wait for a nymph coming by. And of course I'm keeping my eye on the dry fly as well, because there's a very good chance, this is a very effective dry fly in its own right, that a fish can hit the dry fly. I'll just make sure this dry fly is debarbed, because yes, it's a barbless hook water, so it's very important. All I've done to treat the fly is put a very small amount of gink on beforehand. That's all I need to do. And the nymph is one of my specialities, if you'd like to have a look at that, if you can, cameraman. This is a large dark olive nymph. It's tied with peacock herl body and some very motile materials. I found it a very, very effective fly, and it's got a black 2mm tungsten bead to instantly take it down to the required depth. I'm not going to fish too deep because as I've said, the water in the stream ahead is relatively shallow, any deeper than 10–12 inches, which is what I've got the depth set at, and I'll be dragging the fly along the bottom. So let's see what we can do.